All right, let's talk about gear. Now, grab your hot chocolate, get your sweaters on. You know what I'm talking about, the ugly ass Christmas sweaters. And let's talk about gear. Now, it's always very hypocritical to me whenever a YouTuber or a filmmaker that spent a lot of money on gear is using a lot of gadgets to talk about whether or not you should buy gear. However, since I'm a working cinematographer and I'm mainly working in low budget stuff, all my gear is relatively low budget, I've come to some guidelines from real world about buying new gear, replacing gear, or buying gear that looks cool, that sounds amazing, but at the end of the day it sits in a box somewhere in your house with no real use. So let's clear some stuff out of the way. First off, I want to get you familiar with two acronyms. One of them is GAS, GAS, which stands for Gear Acquisition Syndrome, which is basically the notion that you will be better, your work will get better if only you had more gear or more expensive gear. The other one is FOMO, which means fear of missing out. And basically those two things go hand in hand in modern day marketing, and not only modern day, but especially with film gear. We all know how excruciatingly painful it is to scrape all the money you can and put it into something, mainly a camera, just to experience the terror of seeing a brand new camera or Mark 2, 3, 4, whatever get released the very next month. And then you feel like a complete failure, you feel like you missed out, and you're not so satisfied and happy with the camera that you dreamed about for so long, because now there's a newer model, and you feel like you're missing out because all the cool kids on YouTube are buying this new camera or lenses or whatever it is, and you're stuck there with your now old camera. Anyway, we all suffer from GAS and FOMO and whatever other syndromes and fears and illnesses about spending money on something just to make yourself feel better. Jesus, it's hard, okay? However, I've developed some kind of internal compass, which sounds fancy, but basically I have 3 categories for gear. And believe me, I almost pulled the trigger on a new photo camera twice in the past week. But I talked myself out of it because actually my older camera works just fine. And I don't really need a new one, but I keep finding excuses for myself to spend money on it, even though it will probably not pay itself, and I will hate myself down the line. So just like me, you can use the following categories, or you can safely call them needs, to categorize all the new gear that you need or you think you need, and this way you can have some guideline whether or not you should buy it. So first off is, does the new gear, or do you have the need for some health-related benefits? What I mean by that, ergonomics is one. Do you need a lighter camera? If you have back problems and they are really standing in the way of your work, and your camera is 15 kilograms or 30 pounds heavy, will a lighter camera fix your issues or alleviate your symptoms a little bit? If the answer is yes, yeah, maybe you should pull the trigger on that Sony FX30. For example, 2 years ago, I bought a fairly expensive drum throne because I was using, while I was using the old one, I was always having lower back problems. It was not very stable. I was jiggling. It felt like I was dancing all the time, which for drumming is really, really bad. You need a solid foundation. So I went to the store and I bought, well, not the most expensive, but pretty high quality drum throne, which is very heavy and very stable. And honestly, it paid itself off numerous times. I'm still using it, and I'm very happy I bought it. At the time, it was, as I said, it was expensive, and I was really unhappy about giving so much money for something that's not as flashy and not as exciting, like new cymbals or new heads or whatever. But it really, really helped me step up my game, and it saved me a lot of medical bills and a lot of pain. Another example is if you're a doc filmmaker or you prefer to shoot from shoulder. Does a better shoulder rig qualify? Hell yeah. I mean, if you're going to carry something that's heavy on your shoulders all day long, might as well be comfortable. And not only comfortable, but it really needs to distribute the weight properly so you don't develop shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, all kinds of issues. All of the gear we buy helps us in one way or another tell a story. Yes, there are some mandatory things like you need a camera, you need a lens, you need a microphone most of the times. You need some kind of sticks or a tripod for you photographers. This gear makes you money. You earn money by working with your gear to tell some kind of a story. So, in order to prosper and not die out of hunger, your gear needs to make you more money than it costs. And what GAS and FOMO actually makes a lot of people unintentionally do is as soon as they earn any kind of money, they throw it into gear, all the fancy bells and whistles. But at the end of the day, they didn't make any money. They didn't get even the slightest richer. Quite the opposite, actually. Most of the times, they get even poorer, more poor. They get into debt just because they need, the newest Cook lens or the newest red camera, just to feel better about themselves, but they got into debt. And they're actually in more trouble now than they were before with their Blackmagic camera. So the equipment or the gear needs to work for you. As expensive as it is, it needs to earn you more money than you spent on it. Otherwise, it's a very, very bad mathematical equation, the one that's a losing one. Another thing with the, health-related benefits of new gear is a lot of people don't consider clothing or shoes to be part of the gear, but they are, and they can be expensive. And you don't have to be a high-end documentary cinematographer to need good clothes for shooting. I'm telling you, my first several times when I was shooting something, I either froze to death, or I was so hot I was about to explode. So even if you're in a studio, if this studio is not insulated, or you're just outside of town or inside a city, but the weather is shitty, guess what? You're gonna be sick. You need to be prepared, not just with the proper gear, but also with good clothes. Because if you get sick or you injure yourself in some way or whatever, guess what? You're not working for the next several days or maybe weeks. And where does that lead you? You're losing money. And I know it's not all about money. I am one of the big proponents of art before money. However, if you're like me and this is your profession, you need to eat. You need to prosper. You need money to advance your business. So yeah, it is about money. Now, the second category about new gear that you think you need is gear that you really actually need to get the job done. What I mean by that, recently I experienced that and I bought a bunch of gear that I've always wanted and I've always found cool, but I never really had a use case for it until a month ago, where I had to buy first a follow focus, wireless one, because I wanted to start practicing more in my house or in my office. And thanks to this, because I'm using a Blackmagic 6K full frame and I'm shooting it Super 35, but that's topic for another discussion. And I'm using the Mikey Super 35 primes. I'm on a 25 right now, and I'm actually seeing myself on a screen right here. So I'm using full focus to pull focus on myself. And also I had to buy a video transmitter, which is the Axul Nano CineView something. It works only with phones and tablets, but whatever. I bought both of those things, which are by no means cheap, but I really needed them because there was nothing else that could get the job done. You know, if there was some reasonable way for me to do this, I wouldn't. I tried with long HDMI cables and the monitor on my stand, but then I couldn't pull focus. Yada yada yada. At the end of the day, those things first make it possible for me to shoot myself and to practice, because unfortunately I'm my own actor as well. But also, there was no alternative, no cheaper alternative. So if there is a job that's confirmed and it needs to be done, and you don't have the required gear for it, and you sure as hell want to do it, well, this is another good reason for you to buy something, because you're going to get the job done. You will not disappoint whatever your clients or friends or relatives are. And third, it's yours now. You stay with it. So guess what? You can do this kind of jobs from now on. But it is because you already had a lined up job beforehand. And I want to stress this point. You don't buy a new camera thinking new jobs and new work will find me because I have this camera. At the end of the day, it's just a tool. All the lights, all the lenses, all the gadgets, they're tools. They're not toys. They're tools. And the tools are designed to do jobs, work. And the third category, regarding things that you think you need, is, it's actually induced by GAS and FOMO. It's things that you find very appealing, very attractive, not in a sexual way, I hope. And you want to have them. Just because everybody else has it, or because you're stuck in your creative journey, or you want to have more jobs, and you somehow convince yourself that you need this new gear in order to get more jobs, or be more accepted in the community, or be better regarded in some way. But at the end of the day, listen, the really big DPs like Roger Deakins, our king, they don't even own cameras, or they own some, Leica or something they use on trips and they rent. So nobody is going to hire you because you own an 8K Raptor VistaVision or whatever it is you seek. They're going to hire you because you're reliable. First and foremost, you're reliable. You get the job done. And you have a nice creative vision that suits their needs. Believe me, I'm living it. Gear does not in any way guarantee you work. And I have to remind myself of that pretty often, because I'm very prone to falling victim to those notions and beliefs, but they're false, utterly false. Save your money. You have enough. If you're watching this and you're watching related channels, most likely you have enough. I'm a big opponent to phone photography and phone filmmaking, but at the end of the day, if that's all you have, by all means, shoot with your phone. Exercising and learning are much more important than just buying stuff that looks cool. And I'll see you sometime in the near future. Happy holidays. One more thing. I forgot. I'm going to redo my Patreon, which is going to happen in the upcoming days. I am going to shoot a lot of BTS for myself with an action camera, and I'm going to post in Patreon breakdowns of what I do, like this setup. Right now I have 1, 2, 3 lamps and one practical. Anyway, I'm going to upload videos talking about the work that I've done, or how I set up these talking head shots. And yeah, you will see small snippets like you already did in this video of what I'm doing to accomplish this. But in Patreon, you will be able to see the full videos. And of course, you'll be able to join my Discord, and we can chat and discuss cool things, new cameras, gadgets, and how to properly light yourself. So if you find this useful, you can head over to Patreon. It would help me greatly to keep this running, because it takes a lot of resources. I bought a lot of gear to be able to do this. So yeah, I would much appreciate it if you join me. Thank you. I'm going to edit now.